And one day, in 2014, she would take it to a whole new level. Professor Ali couldn't come to terms with what was going on. With all the suffering they were having, there was nothing that she could do. Gordon actually banned her from talking to them and from communicating with them, meaning she couldn't do anything about it. The next day they cleared everything up. But it didn't take long. Until the news came around. And even the papers were saying things about her too. After that incident, they actually cancelled Total Drama for a while. She was so distraught about what was going on that she did not know what to do. It led to depression, confusion, and finally, suicide. She was even disgusted, as we all were, by the challenges. The challenges didn't start out always so brutal all the time, but they did tend to get a little bit out of control. Some of them could even kill people. And it was horrible seeing these innocent kids go through such harsh challenges. But the tourists were visiting the island while we were filming, so we had no choice. They didn't want to. They told themselves they didn't want to disappoint the tourists. So there's nothing that we can actually do. After they cancelled Total Drama for a little while, we had to rely on something else. We had to rely on a spin-off series. The Redonkulous Race, the first ever spin-off series in the franchise. I was called on to host it because Gordon had actually fired Chris at the time. He fired me because basically I confronted him about Ali's death, and he fired me after that. Chef was even fired too. He didn't like the fact that people were questioning him. So basically, we had to go away for a little while. But also we didn't just use teenagers this time. We used all kind of people. But even I was disgusted about the challenges sometimes. Gordon didn't want teenagers that much anymore, so basically he asked for all ages. Some were even like the others. Some had terminal illnesses. Some were in accidents, and some were actually physically hurt. But like the rest, they were all brought back to the lab, and they were all actually cured. That's when we started wondering how they bring back to life, and how they can be alive. Even I was wondering, and I had just started out. But like the rest, they had problems. One of the earlier episodes was having Kitty having terrible problems with one of the food that qualified research produced.
Doing great, Kitty! Heart! It burned!
Sadly, Kitty would have to go back to the research lab because she was unconscious and she had to be cured for a whole week. And it got to a point where, it almost got to a point where we had enough of Gordon. We put up with him for 8 years now, but gladly, a person that would start the downfall of this madness. So someone we hired that was a good person. Michael Roger, our newest intern at the time, was basically brought on in 2009 to actually help keep it on the contestants. When he was brought on, the contestants took a liking to him, and he took a liking to them too. He became very popular. He started for a little while on work experience, and then we kept him on. He became very popular around everybody. But then one night, he discovered the truth. As he was going home, he accidentally found the research lab. He poked his head in there to see what was in there, and when he saw what was in there, he just ran in shock. He had seen all of it. He wouldn't even dare talk about it, but he was too scared. He found out the truth on the same day that the redonkulous race ended. He was so scared. He didn't even talk about it for the whole night. Well, not everybody. As he went, the contestants were having a party at the time, celebrating their first spin-off series. He went over there just to clear his head. Later that evening, Mike went over to the Snow Bowl where the cast was actually hanging out, enjoying the party. He came in shocked, traumatized, and upset. They asked him what was wrong. He only said one word to them: stay away from the research lab. By saying that was the start of the downfall. They didn't know what he meant, but it was leading to something else. Next day, that Tuttle found out, and he was furious with Michael. He was angry. He did not want the contestants to actually find out at all. So, a few days later, Michael would meet his demise, and he would not return to the island after that. It was a tragic night for all. He sealed his fate looking in there, and now that total now that total wanted him gone. One night, as he went home, Gordon set up a plan. He didn't want anything he put the word to get out. He left early that night just so he can actually get Andrews, or whatever his name was. Because of what he knew, and because of which he was now on a rampage. His boat stopped, and everything was so nice and neat for that complete bastard. As news got out, it didn't take long for the contestants to find out he had been disposed of because of what he knew, and that was the last straw.